Welcome back. You're watching NewsX. My name is Vineet Malhotra. Prime Minister Modi commissioned 3 indigenously built naval ships at the Syama Prasad Mukherjee port in Kolkata. The 3 indigenously built frontline platforms, stealth frigate Dunagiri, survey vessel Sanshodhak and anti-submarine warfare shallow watercraft Agray represent key operational capabilities across maritime combat, hydrographic surveying and anti-submarine warfare. The Dunagiri, the 5th Project 17A stealth frigate, is equipped with advanced weapons and sensors, including BrahMos surface-to-surface missiles and the medium-range surface-to-air missile system, significantly enhancing the Navy's combat capability. Sanshodhak, the 4th survey vessel, is designed for coastal and deep water hydrographic surveys and collection of oceanographic and geophysical data for defense and civil applications, and is equipped with advanced survey systems including autonomous underwater vehicles and remotely operated vehicles. Agray, the 4th of the Arnala class anti-submarine warfare shallow watercraft, is equipped with lightweight torpedoes, indigenous rocket launchers and shallow water sonar systems to detect and engage underwater threats in littoral waters. The 3 platforms demonstrate the growing maturity of India's indigenous shipbuilding ecosystem, with the indigenous content exceeding 75%. Prime Minister Modi said that strong maritime capabilities are the deciding factor for the country's economic and strategic influence, and India understands this well and is preparing for it. Prime Minister Modi further highlighted that India does not want to remain only a buyer country in the defense sector, and the nation's armed forces cannot become just a market for the world. He said over 40 warships and submarines have been commissioned in the last few years and 45 large naval platforms are under construction. So does this mean that it is time for India's next phase of maritime power? That's exactly what we discussed with our guest. Joining us on the show is Major General P.K. Sehgal, defense expert, Commander Bhushan Dewan, former Indian Navy officer, with us on the program. Captain Shyam Kumar, former Indian Navy officer, also joins us on the show to talk about this. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. Commander Dewan, I'll begin with you, sir. Sir, how impressed are you by this indigenous feat that India has been able to crack consecutively for the last few years? And in fact, if you say that it's 75% plus of indigenous goods, I think we have achieved as much of a target that India had set out to be.
Yes, definitely. It's a proud moment for all of us in the Indian Navy and in the full country. We are indeed making large strides in the indigenous production of naval platforms, and I am very proud that Navy was the first ship service amongst the 3 armed force services to have started an in-house shipbuilding design bureau way back 40 years back, and that has been going from strength to strength. But I want to share with you that unless we build things ourselves, we are going to be facing very heavy budgets, because foreign equipment is very costly, A. B, we're also going to face a very big hurdles that tomorrow we want to modify any of the systems which we are purchasing off the shelf from foreign suppliers. We are stuck. We cannot do it. It's like that if I buy some equipment at home and I get it repaired by a non-authorized technician, the warranty and the further ownership of the supplier vanishes. And so third thing is, I think it is a time. It gives me the feeling that like in a corporate, there are cost centers, there are profit centers. For example, HR is a cost center and marketing team is a profit center. So this, if armed forces are going to help in making weapons which can be sold and platforms which can be sold to other countries who are in need for defense capability, then we are earning money. They are earning valuable foreign exchange. The armed forces are going to be treated hereafter gradually as profit centers rather than cost centers. So our defense budget can also go up correspondingly. And second thing, very huge strategic heft once for a defense supplier. You know that how the way terms are dictated to us by foreign defense suppliers, whether it is Russia or let us say America or France or whoever. And third thing, but our defense equipment is highly cost competitive. Indian equipment is very cost competitive. You know Mars mission, MOM, it cost just equal to one Manhattan flat of New York, 100 times less than the American cost of or Mars orbiter of USA. So this is, but I think if India has to go big time in MIC, becoming a military industrial complex, major military industrial complex, which it needs to have, I think we have to have more and more of joint ventures like BrahMos, foreign manufacturers making in India as a joint venture where we have a lot of technology induction. From my little experience as ex-vice president of TCS, all of us know it, IT industry boosted to that level only after America gave us a lot of support. So that is unavoidable. Foreign countries it's a challenge for an ambassadorial diplomatic corps to think of not buying, but think of joint manufacture here. And that is more and more technology induction can happen. So I think it's a very good step, proud moment. Over to you.
Let me also open General Sehgal into this conversation, sir. Your assessment of this great feat, the Dunagiri, the Sanshodhak and the Agray that are a part of India's Navy today, sir. General Sehgal?
Yeah, it's absolutely outstanding that India has been able to design ships of the ultimate variety, some of the best ships in the world within the country. Not only have they been designed within the country, they've also been produced within the country. Almost 75% of the entire inventory is indigenous. This clearly indicates the growing confidence of the Indian, I will say, shipbuilders in meeting up world-class standards. It also boosts the self-confidence of the Indian industry, defense industry, as well as the self-reliance aspect of ours. All that notwithstanding, India has got almost 11,000 kilometers of island coastline territory, including islands, and a strong maritime power is essential not only for providing security to the nation, but also for projecting our combat power and also the growing influence of the India. And it's absolutely essential that all these platforms are absolutely, particularly when we look at Dunagiri, it's equipped with some of the finest top of the line sensors, top of the line weapons. It's got 8 BrahMos missiles, 30 to 100 kilometer range, medium range surface to air missile. It's got torpedoes, it's got rocket launchers, and it's got self-defense weapons to deal with enemy missiles, etc. Similarly, the hydrographic platform increases India's maritime domain awareness significantly, both in shallow waters as well as in deep waters. And as far as the Agray is concerned, it increases India's capability to defend itself as far as the coastal waters are concerned and sheltered waters are concerned, where enemy submarines could be prowling. If you remember, in the 71 war, Ghazi came almost close to Visakhapatnam. So this sort of a platform can easily detect, track and neutralize the lurking threat from the enemy. It can also lay mines if required and also open up the sea lanes. That is very essential for the Indian Navy's power projection. Back to you.
Absolutely right, sir. And General Sudhakarji also joins us on the program. General Sudhakarji, India has a huge exposure when it comes to its maritime needs. What do you make of this acquisition and this great feat that India has been able to accomplish today?
Vineet, thank you for inviting me for your show, although I missed out the initial narrative given by you, but I got the sense of it. And my very warm greetings to the distinguished and esteemed co-panelists. It's a remarkable golden milestone as far as the maritime capability of India is concerned. There is no denying the fact. But we need to understand what is the end state India is looking at in relation to a particular timeline. By 2047, if we expect ourselves to become a blue water navy, I don't think it will be within our means. If we expect to be comparable with China, I don't think we can reach up to that level. But what is it that we are actually striving for? You see, we have a vast oceanic kind of responsibility. Like General Sehgal, he brought out that the coastline, unfortunately, at one point in time is to be evaluated at 7,500 kilometers, but it has been re-evaluated by technical and very sophisticated equipment. It is approximately 11,096 kilometers. And similarly, once upon a time, the island territories of India were counted as 560, but now it is touching 1,400. So what I mean to say, our surveillance capability is going to enable us to identify what is our area of responsibility and what all island territories and the coastal responsibility that we have to look after. Notwithstanding all these nitty-gritties, the exclusive economic zone is very far and wide, is extended by virtue of the geographic configuration of our country. It is jutting out, it is pointing. It's very, I think India is the only country where it has got 2,000 kilometers of geography or the landmass jutting into the ocean. You have two seas to either side and one ocean to the south. So all these things put together, the size that India is expected to dominate and look after, extend anything from east coast of Africa, goes right up to west coast of Australia, to my understanding. This is what the Indian Ocean region is concerned. And it extends from the northern tip of Antarctica, goes right up to the northern tip of Bay of Bengal. And the dimension, if you go by the figure, it is around 12,000 kilometers east to west and around 9,000 kilometers south to north or north to south. This is the kind of a size in which we have the island territories to be looked after. The exclusive economic zone has to be worked out. It's 200 nautical miles comes to 370 kilometers. And therefore the requirement, as on today, we are holding it is 135 warships. And we have good number of aircrafts, 2 aircraft carriers, and we have about 18 or 19 submarines. Now, is that enough? It is not enough. Why it is not enough? If we have to carry out an assessment based on the threat, that is, you join the China's capability and the Pakistan capability, then I think India needs to double down. We take anything between 5 to 10 years to manufacture a ship which has been commissioned today or inaugurated today by the Prime Minister. The same ship or the vessel is taken just about 2 to 3 years maximum. In 1 year, China produces 5 to 10 vessels in 1 year. It is much faster. It is 10 times faster than what US or any country in the world is doing. Not that I'm saying that we can overnight match the capability of China, but here is some target that we have to strive for. But importantly, Vineet, if you allow me, that the center of gravity, to the best of my understanding, is the engine of a ship. This is where I'm glad that we have Commodore Bhushan, who should be throwing some light on this. To my research and study, the engine, whether you call about the aerospace engine or you call about the ship engine, we are yet to develop expertise in production and development of engine. This is where we require collaboration, transfer of technology. Earlier, we used to take it from a country like Ukraine and Russia to large extent. Now we are dependent on Nordic nations, and India would do well by focusing on this particular aspect. Although I agree with General Sehgal what he said, that 75% of the components and the parts are indigenously developed, but there are some components, these are all vital parts, and for which we are dependent on other countries. As long as the dependency is there on other countries, it will actually make us insecure and vulnerable in critical times. Therefore, there is a requirement to enhance our research and development, funds allocation, and public private participation. As on today, it has improved from 17% to 37%. When you compare that with leading economies have anything between 75 to 85% of public-private participation in research and development, in projects like the engine that I'm talking about. Hull, I think India has already developed that expertise of developing the hull on its own. And we have come a long way from 1947 till date to call ourselves as a indigenously developed self-reliant country, but we have many more miles to be covered before we go to sleep. Back to you, Vineet.
You're quite right, sir, and it's the Atmanirbharta factor, Commander Diwan, that we should definitely be proud of. If you rate and try and compare what India was doing in terms of its deterrence capabilities in the early 2000s and where it stands today, it's a stark difference, sir.
Surely, surely. We need to celebrate our every success. At the same time, I would totally agree with General Sudhakar that we also need to be cognizant of our military industrial complex capability vis-a-vis China, who is our main threat and who seems to have almost occupied full of South China Sea. And we here in the IOR, we need to be the prima donna in IOR. And in this case, we have yet to cover a lot of ground. And China is able to produce aircraft carrier in every 3 years. So I'm saying that better late than never. Hindi mein कहते हैं जब नींद खुली सवेरा है. But at least it is not this. We need not replicate the story of Leh and Ladakh. Don't occupy it, else Chinese will come. The point is, if we don't occupy IOR, nature abhors vacuum, then the enemies will take it up. Even today, let me share with you, the 6-degree channel is the main channel of the trade, which goes to states of Malacca, Colombo, states of Malacca, and so on. There's a 10-degree channel, which is dividing Andaman and Nicobar in between. I must tell you, the Chinese ships, they switch off their AIS and they sneak through. And every day, for weeks together, these survey vessels of China are surveying the coastal area, Indian coastal area. Survey in the ocean area is a very critical thing, not very well understood. Let me give a little. Let me attempt on this. The ocean game can be won only by good submarine force. Counter submarine also, our own submarine force also. Now, submarine and sonar, which operate underwater, they have a very severe natural disadvantage. What is that? In the sea, all along the coast or in the deep ocean, every portion of sea has a different temperature gradient, different density, different under rock profile. And as a result, when the sonar sound rate travels, it travels not in a straight line. It gets refracted. And with this refraction, there are many portions which are known as shadow zones. In shadow zones, enemy submarines can lurk undetected for long, and they can be very harmful. So this kind of survey gives any enemy vessel and ourselves also a lot of data, which is the best part to operate in, which is the best part to hide in. Now this is a long drawn process, and that is happening by China, is being done by China. So, and the Navy's main role, as opposed to Army to defend land, Navy's main role is to control access to SLOC. SLOC as in sea lines of communication. That is not our land, but lines of communication we need to dominate. And if we don't dominate, the enemy will dominate. Now, unless China's trade, which is going through 6-degree channel Malacca, is controlled by us. You know, Great Nicobar project of 81,000 crores is coming up. It take 20 years. So this is the way to go. Our mindset, continental mindset, which we inherited, which we absorbed after 1947, with courtesy, the naval ships were Navy was UK Navy's forte. India didn't come up to that level. It was a continental mindset we have. As Admiral Mahan has said, he who controls oceans controls the world. So unless we dominate the seas and to begin with, our backyard IOR and create. Yeah. So this is what is the way forward, and that is how I think for a great power, emerging great power like India, Navy is the focus for the armed forces.
Absolutely right. Let me also bring in Captain Shyam Kumar, former Indian Navy officer, into this conversation. Captain Kumar, you are of course very close to the prism that India is seeing through when it comes to our naval capabilities. What do you make of these game-changing inductions?
Thank you, Vinit. Jai Hind, son of Varuna. Being a calendar speaker, lot many things have been already said. Lot of theory we heard. Let me tell you, I'm feeling nostalgic because out of these three ships, all three ships I have almost served. Dunagiri was my first ship as a naval pilot, where I took Operation Pavan in Sri Lanka. Agray class, Arnala Anjadeep, I got my watchkeeping ticket, started from there. And survey class, I flew a lot. See, practically, when I see these ships, I'm feeling very nostalgic. Ships are always re-christianed. They are renamed after they are decommissioned. Dunagiri, a great frigate with surface capability of BrahMos, sonar, advanced sonars, all indigenous, torpedoes, depth charges, and the anti-air capabilities. All three makes it an advanced frigate which will be able to take a distant water approach for the Navy. As far as Agray is concerned, Arnala class, Anjadeep, Arundaroth, and 8 of them coming from Garden Reach, indigenous production. Again, it is going to be a coastal water deterrence for the submarines like PNS Hangur, which you see coming up in the context of Indian Ocean. 8 of them are coming up in India, and we have to have counterbalancing for coastal shallow water SW capabilities so that we can keep them at bay. As far as the Sanshodhak is concerned, its name itself is researcher, and underwater seabed mapping, autonomous side scan sonar, and long endurance, plus hospital ship capability during war. All this makes this also a search and rescue against many things such as advanced search and rescue or even for submarines. It will be a very, very useful platform. 4 of them are coming up, Nirupak, Sandhayak, Nirikshak, and Ichhak. So all these ships are going to be a very, very lethal platform for the Navy. Seeing closely in maritime domain, I find that Indian Navy is jumping up. 40 ships commissioned in 2 years, 40 more coming up. We have a target. We have a maritime perspective plan. We are working on it. I'm a naval pilot from the aircraft carrier. All the 4 aircraft carriers, I have actually operated or seen them very closely. So I understand the maritime domain awareness is required by surface ships, carrier as sea control, and sea denial by submarines. We are getting them submarines again and again. 3 more Scorpions class submarines are coming up from France, and the Rafale 26 of them after MiG-29. We will have the air defense, we will have the submarine capability, we will have the surface platform coming up, and the backup support by shipyards, port, harbors, and maritime capability is gauged by these trains. Garden Reach is today able to send ships to Vietnam, Indonesia, gifting them in maritime strategy. Even a submarine has been gifted. We are exporter of defense warships. Today, we are not getting any warship from any other country. We have last ship coming up, that is from Russia. Now we are making everything, it's well known to others that we are self-capable. Yes, next aircraft carrier is a requirement, ballistic submarines are requirement, and nuclear submarines are requirement. These 3 things are very important. All 3 governments, political will, funding, and the atmosphere of the country, the maritime focus, this tilt, the shift onto the maritime requirements, because we now realize what's happening for
all right, we have a paucity of time. I'm just going to quickly entertain General Sudhakarji for 30 seconds. He wants to say something. General Sudhakarji, quickly, sir.
Yeah, while I'll compliment the naval colleagues, the bringing out the finer aspects, but what is the need of the hour is that India as a country has to start focusing on the maritime responsibilities much more seriously than what it has done. Budget allocation has also to be given accordingly. As on today, we are 135 ships. I'm talking about the combat ships. Our target is to reach a target of 70 by 2035. That's not good enough. If you join both China and Pakistan, they actually overshadow us. Last but not the least, is the punchline. It is not a punchline. It is the realistic line that I'm sharing, that India is aspiring to become a global power of 30 trillion GDP economy by US dollar economy by 2047 or earlier than that. Our export, 90 to 95% of our export is by the sea lanes of communication. 55% goes to the South China Sea, 45% through Suez Canal / South of Good Hope. Unless the sea lanes of communication are kept under dominance, they are subject to, they are vulnerable to any kind of activity by the pirates and other inimical forces. Therefore, India has to expand its resources. As on today, China has already crossed 400 vessels. Total, they have got 670 vessels with 69 to 70 submarines. India is just toying with only 19 submarines. We need to focus on submarine manufacture and need to focus on the maritime responsibility. Back to you, Vinay.
All right, fair enough. Appreciate everybody who joined in. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your perspectives and, of course, for the discussion that we had pertaining to this massive induction. We'll take a short break. Be right back.